guys good to go? All right. Okay, so we'll start with a couple roster things. Estimate came up to the 53. Obviously, Kozia is back on practice squad. And then as far as medical, Tolly was a DMP today with the ankle. Alvin and Jack were limited guys with the ankle. And then the full participant guys, Taysom with a knee, Cam with an ankle. Barry Wesley is back. He was activated off the IR, so he'll start his window with his hip. So he's back at practice. And then Jonah has a shoulder he's maintaining. So those are the main things that have occurred. So I'll open up for questions.
With this kind of more of a not philosophical, but like when you have an opening script, like ideally when should all those plays be done? I know it's like the first 15, but is it the first 2 drives, like the 3? Like when do you kind of stop calling a script?
Yeah, you're gonna have an opening, 15 to 20 plays. Obviously, third downs are somewhat separate from the first and second down plays. And then you're rolling through it. Obviously, circumstances, you have to shift within it. It's not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straightforward, but hopefully that puts you through 2 or 3 series. If you have 2 really long, successful series, that really fleshes you out, and then you move on to the next component of it.
Are there anything you're seeing with kind of the opening drives, particularly? I know you're asking them to look right on Monday, but anything more since you're reviewing it?
Yeah, continue to study it. We got execute, get some cleaner ops, just get some freebies, and get the sense of urgency going. So we'll obviously do everything we can to get that.
Kellen, what's the kind of the temperament of the team when you make moves like that, and you're sending guys off, guys that are starters? What's kind of the temperament of the team the next day? After you see all that activity happen.
Yeah, there's the personal side of this thing's real. It's not easy for any of us. You get to know these guys on a personal level, and you love them. And there's a business component of this thing that obviously is the reality of it. And so, we lost 2 guys that have contributed for this organization for a long time, have been positive examples to everyone around this place. And so, it's going to provide opportunities for some other guys, and there's certainly some excitement, I think, from that component. But those guys will go on and still have success in this league, just like they have it here as well.
You and Mickey both said recently that you were trying to develop young players while still trying to win on Sundays.
Yep.
And I'm sure that never changes. But when you trade your number 2 receiver and your starting left guard and don't get any assets that help this year and you're 1-8, is that an acknowledgement that the future is a little more in the forefront than maybe it was earlier?
I think it's a combination. Obviously, there's a future component of this that's real with the what came back in return, but it provides opportunities for some guys that we feel really good about. For Dylan to hop in there at left guard. Dylan's going to play left guard, and he's going to play great. And obviously he's had some success in this league. He's played well when we've asked him to play. Receiver room, Vele, Tip, Cooksey, like those guys are going to obviously play more snaps naturally. The snaps will get distributed to those guys, and so their roles will increase, which we have a lot of confidence in those guys as well. And so, obviously I think you can, like you said, you can compete and go after each and every one of these games like we always do, and still provide yourself with something in the future as we develop this thing.
When you look at a team like the Panthers, who are in the second year of their coach and seem to really turn things around based on what they were the past few years and how they've kind of quickly retooled and revamped things. I mean, what do you think of them kind of being able to do that?
Yeah, they've done a nice job. I think, as they've gone, they've adjusted and, created, I think the last few weeks you can certainly see that they've created some consistency, some rhythm and a flow and a really, successful formula that has worked for them. They're running the football really, really well. They're keeping people out of scoring touchdowns on defense, controlling the game under their terms. And so they've done a nice job the last few weeks. And obviously they've played some big-time opponents and won some games because of it.
How do you replace Shahid's particular skill set?
Yeah, it'll have to be a combination of those guys. Obviously, there's the vertical threat that Sheed has that is rare in this league. You certainly do lose that component. We feel like there is still some speed with our group. Cooksey's done it for a long time in his career. Vele and Tip have some speed to get downfield, and so we feel like we got those guys that will be able to supplement that. And I'm excited for those guys' opportunities moving forward.
Where's Trey Palmer at and who's return? Do you expect him to kind of build some of that?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. His is going to take a little while, and so he's progressing the best he can, but he'll be a while.
Is like
Three speed guys, your preference, or is that just kind of how the cards shook out and that's what was available? Like if you were building it from scratch, would you go that way?
I think speed's always, one of the most valuable assets. First thing for receivers catching the football, but speed obviously is very, very valuable. And I think, I think our guys moving forward will obviously have some roles defined for them. Those guys. I think, I'm really excited about his role. Being able to play kind of that combination of, the Z receiver where he can play off the ball and be aligned for all the run blocking stuff, but then he gets all the action game stuff off it. And so, Tip obviously is, every time we've asked Tip to play, through preseason, all these different opportunities he's had over the last couple of years, he's done a nice job. And so these opportunities are going to provide for him. And so I think, as we develop this, obviously their roles will be a little bit more defined, a little bit more specific. And I think there'll be some positives coming out of that.
Is the role you envisioned for Bailey, was it blocked by Shough at all? Was there anything there preventing him to get more snaps?
I don't think necessarily, no. I think the way these games shook down, on my part, I'm focused on that, is trying to get Vele as many opportunities as we can. We felt good about him coming in. Had a little injury in the middle of it that kind of slowed a little bit of the installation part of it, but he's done a nice job so far. And so certainly he's going to carry a healthy role the rest of the way through this thing, and he'll be very involved, and I'm excited about that.
Back to the trade deadline, a guy that probably got a lot of interest was Chris Olave. How much interest kind of was there in him, and how important was it for you to have him kind of still be here through this whole thing?
Yeah, I love Chris. Chris has done an awesome job through this whole process. We're going to continue to build this thing together, and I have all the confidence in the world in that guy. The way he practices, the way he works, he gets better each and every opportunity, and so he's going to be a big part of this thing in my mind for a long time for us, and he's going to have a huge impact on our success when we get there.
Kellen, with the record obviously not being what you wanted, are you seeing signs of things tracking along where you want it to in other areas beyond that? It's been about a year since we made a change here, and you've seen stuff that encourages you.
Yeah, I think you're always looking at your process, make sure the process is right. We're doing the best, from that standpoint, and obviously results are the most important part of it. But we got to make sure our process is going in the right direction. I think our guys work really hard. They progress. They put in the work during the week, and ultimately we haven't gotten the Sunday results that we want. But I think our guys are heading in the right direction. We got some young guys that have gotten better through the course of this thing. We're going to learn, allow a lot of these guys to grow as we go through this process, and so there'll be some really good success because of that.
Is there anything about the process that you've identified, because the results haven't been there, that you feel maybe differently now?
Yeah, you're just finding every little opportunity to get better. I don't think necessarily there's always these big overarching themes. There's how we practice, how we meet, how we walk through, how we get ready for Sundays. Can we get better in those aspects? Talking about starting fast, we got to find a solution there. What are we doing? What are the little things that we can potentially do to help increase that opportunity?
Could you just explain the play call the other day with Taysom on 4th and 2, and why you'd rather have that than say evaluate Shough in that situation?
Yeah, short yardage situation. Yeah, 4th down. Felt good about the run. Felt like we had a great opportunity there to get a first down, and then you basically got 4 downs to go score after that. And so it didn't turn out the way we wanted to. I got to do a better job there. Didn't give ourselves the opportunity.
But how do you weigh that with it's a young quarterback? In theory, you should want.
Yeah, we're trying to go win a football game. We're trying to win the football game, and Tyler's going to have plenty of 3rd and 4th downs through that whole entire game. That he's going to, he had plenty already, and he's going to have plenty moving forward as well. And so, again, we're trying to go win football games, and Tyler's going to get to grow in a ton of experiences as he goes through this.
Is that a little just in terms of when to put Taysom in and when to leave him on the field, and just in terms of probably don't want to put the quarterback in the 3rd and 9, cold off the bench? How do you balance that?
Yeah, there's a little bit of balancing act of it. We want to try and create some flow so Taysom can stay in for a couple plays, which we did at one point in that game, and then the situational football stuff, whether it's short yardage, red zone. There's a few specific areas that obviously Taysom tends to play, specifically in, and he's had a lot of success because of that. So,
Thanks, Kellen.
all right, thanks, guys.
How's it going, guys?
Hey,
What was your reaction yesterday when you heard about the trades?
I was pretty shocked, but obviously I gotten pretty close with Rashid just the whole period of time we've been working together. He was obviously such a great dude, and Trevor as well. I think those were kind of the first few guys I was able to meet coming here, and just through training camp, all throughout those time throughout the season. So definitely going to miss them, but obviously a good opportunity for them, and then obviously the Saints as well.
Can you look at it two different ways? Obviously, you lost 2 starters, but then I guess the positive would be it's an opportunity for more people.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously a tough loss, but at the same time, you understand the business side of it and understand what we're trying to do, and I think at the same time, it's a great opportunity for guys to come up and step up in that role and be able to go out there and contribute, and we got to go out there and operate and do what we can do and know what we can do regardless.
Specifically, how do you replace Rashid Shaheed?
Yeah. I mean, he's such a versatile threat from a deep threat, the kicking game. He's obviously done a lot of really good things, but I think specifically it'll be a great chance for Devon Vele to kind of get some action, and I think we've been trying to do as much as we can up to this point. I think he's a really, really good player from his skill set. So getting him on the action, obviously Olave, Cooks, Juwan, those guys are going to be getting a bunch of action as well. So I think we have all the weapons that we need and to contribute and to continue to go have success. So just finding different ways to figure out what we can do offensively to complement their skill sets.
Why do you think it hasn't just clicked production-wise for Devon yet?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, she was there, eating up a big chunk of the targets, but
yeah. I mean, I think logistically it's tough when you have Olave and Sheed and Juwan and all those guys and Cooks, so on a rotational basis. But I think at the same time there was a bunch of stuff that was schemed to go to him, and sometimes it just doesn't happen that way. It's just football, But I think just him having a little bit of a larger role in the rotation is going to be big, and he's had a huge role up to this point. I know it's not really seen from a fan or social media perspective, just what he's done in the blocking game, the receiving room, he came in, learned the playbook like that, his football knowledge. So I think it's going to not only continue to grow, but he's such an asset as a guy, not just within the receiving game.
Touchdown, obviously, you mentioned that was kind of designed to get him isolated. Just having a guy with that size out there, does that just open things up for, obviously you're able to work back and find Juwan?
For sure. I think when you can have, multiple weapons at each spot, that's a tough thing on defenses when you got guys that you got to worry about at multiple positions, and I think he brings that element, just like with Chris Olave and Cooks and Juwan. You got different kind of threats for different reasons with speed, size, versatility. So I think it'll be really, really good to kind of see, all those guys' roles kind of continue to grow, and we got to find a way to put points on the board and, whatever it takes.
About just starting fast, how much of an emphasis would you guys place on that, just because it kind of feels like the early holes have caught up to you guys a little bit?
Yeah, I think a huge emphasis on that is and really just goes down to details and running the ball and continue to do everything we can to keep the sticks moving, because the Rams did a great job of it. The Carolina Panthers have done a really good job of possessing the ball, them holding on to it, running it, sustaining drives. So we got to do the same. And that starts with myself, starts with everybody, starts with the coaches, starts with the whole team, just put in a huge effort to continue to move the ball forward.
Okay. Kind of related to that, sorry, I'm stumbling through this. This is only your second start, but the scripted plays, how does that work with you guys? And has that been working well enough? And how does that whole process work?
You're just saying the first few drives?
You're looking at starting fast, you got scripted plays going into every game.
Yeah. I mean, it changes week to week. I think there's not necessarily an emphasis. I think the plays that we had were working. We just got short on a few short yardages, and we just got to continue to find the way to run the ball and move the chains a little bit better, and that's me as well, running the ball, finding those checkdowns. I think whenever we're aggressive but under control, we can find some success there. So, for me, I like to come out the gate and do everything that we can, just go out there and rip it, and I think it was just good to learn from. You can't, you can't have 3 and outs like that.
When you look at kind of how quickly the Panthers have rebuilt with a relatively new coaching staff, do you kind of, see that as, sign of optimism for you all being like, okay, well, if they were able to kind of build their thing quickly, then we can too? And what have you noticed about how they built their team that has stuck out to you?
I think they're an excellent team. I think they've done a really good job of just responding week in and week out with new great opponents, regardless of the situation or place. So they're obviously a division rival, and we got to get after them because they've done a really good job of, like I said before, possessing the ball. Their defense is really stout. So we got to do our job, and we don't really compare ourselves to the situations of other teams. We know what we can do and what we can be better at and continue to be better at, and that's kind of our main focus right now.
After film review and visiting with the coaches, what do you take away from your first start?
After talking with them and watching the film, I thought it was encouraging just from a decision-making standpoint. From, I didn't come in there and, like I said before, I wasn't hesitant. My whole goal is to just play each play for what it is. Don't make it bigger than what it needs to be. And that was, that was the great side of it. I think at the end of the day, when you lose and you don't have that many plays, it's a bad taste in your mouth. But it was a great learning lesson for me, just as far as, you only get so many opportunities, and you don't know what play is going to make the biggest difference, whether it's a, turnover, or a run, or, maybe a throwaway, stuff like that, where you have to kind of play each play for what it is. And we only had those 3 plays in the third quarter, and obviously you want to have more opportunities there. So that was great to kind of watch that film and kind of be able to get your feet wet, like we said, and continue to build off of it.
When you have that few plays, obviously, is it difficult to avoid pressing? Trying to make every play more important than it is. How do you manage that?
No, it's more of just there can't be a lack of focus. There's not an emphasis on, okay, I'm going to try really hard to make a big play this play, or I'm going to try to maybe not be as aggressive. It's just you're just kind of playing, and you can't slack off with focus, and you got to be dialed there because you don't know, what may happen, or if that may be the game decider. And that's every part of the field, every game, every offense, defense.
A handful of kind of deep sideline throws, not breaking throws you made in those games. Is that maybe one of your strengths as a player, and maybe does Kellen incorporate some of that, just knowing that that's something you do well?
Yeah, I'm always down to throw it down the field as much as we can, and just be able to make plays with my legs or check it down and complement off the run game. But I think that was just kind of what we needed at that point to drive us. Sometimes we need to get the ball out quick, and we need to take shots. So I think that at that point we had to get going, and we had to kind of take some more shots to get back in the game. But I think Kellen has a really good understanding of what we're good at, what we're maybe not great at, and what we can get better at. And I think week to week it's tough because it changes when you have some new guys in there, and obviously you have a new opponent, so it's a different game plan. So I think we're just we're going to hone in on that from this week standpoint, and then go out there and attack them.
I know when you were at Louisville, you got a lot of leeway at the line of scrimmage to do a lot of. How much are you doing? I know you're just starting, but as a rookie, how much leeway are you getting there? How comfortable are you doing that?
I wouldn't say nearly as much, just from that standpoint. But there's quite a bit of just different checks or multiple plays that we have built in, and different ways we can get to certain things. But I think that comes with time and experience and a comfortability with the offense. After years or two. You see some of the levels of guys and obviously the guys we just played, Stafford has been playing with in certainly that offense. So I think that comes with time, but I feel great with the offense and super prepared with it. But you can't replace years of running the same play over and over again, and I think that comes with it. And I know Kellen, he's had to do it the same thing, being at different spots, and so it'll be good to kind of just continue to get reps. It's only the second week where you're throwing to these guys, and I think each day I feel better and better.
Is there a learning curve? Maybe that's not the right phrase, but with a play caller and a quarterback, say what you had in college with your coach there or in past places, you all will get synchronized better the more reps you get?
I mean, yeah, I think that's like with anything, I guess. You know, I mean, you get used to maybe what I like or maybe I'm good at or not good at or stuff like that. I think that's a natural component to it, but at the same time, there's always an element of we got to win the game. So whatever that's going to be, that's kind of what it's going to be drawn up to. But I think being able to kind of watch the game planning perspective, the calling, just Spencer throughout this whole period of time, and then just kind of take it into my own right preparation-wise, not really changing much, but being able to kind of see that has really helped me out a lot. And I think just continuing forward is, like I said before, just playing each opponent, each play, each week, taking it for what it is and going from there.
Was the sack a rookie welcome to the NFL moment for you?
Yeah, I couldn't close my jaw until yesterday, so I had to get some needles in it. That one felt pretty good, but it was almost better. You don't see it coming, so you just naturally take it, I guess. But from the standpoint of like if you see it coming, then you maybe would change your body movement. But yeah, it was definitely a welcome to the NFL moment for sure. But I was happy to be able to get the ball back and be able to score after.
That one from Byron Young.
Yeah, I think that's what you're talking about, right? Yeah.
I mean, seriously, your job?
Yeah, it was. I mean, he got right in the face mask, so just right in the jaw. My jaw was like a little bit messed up, but it's all good now.
You want to take hits like that, especially like that one, but when you take a hit in the game, does it maybe settle you down a little bit of like, all right, I'm going to get hit, I'm not going to be perfect?
For sure. I mean, there's a football aspect to it. From when you're playing like Pee Wee, Pop Warner football, you want to get smacked a little bit and you want to get popped a pad. So there's always that aspect. But I mean, I'd gotten hit before that, so it wasn't that moment. But yeah, definitely, he made a really good play. I mean, they are obviously a really good D-line. So I knew that's kind of part of it. But you got to just pop back up.
Is there anything you can do for that, or you just had to wait it out?
I got some needles in my jaw, TMJ, that hurt. Yeah, that hurt like shit. So that was rough, but good now. I was lucky. Wasn't too bad, but like I said, part of it.
I feel like I've asked this question to 5 different quarterbacks in the last few years, but coming off the field is not typical for a quarterback. Especially coming up to college, I'm sure it didn't happen to you very often. Is that with Taysom Hill taking reps? Is that something you have to kind of get used to? Like, how has that adjustment gone?
I think it's an adjustment, I guess, but like I said, we got to do whatever we can to give the defense a different look and gain first downs and score touchdowns. So I think he brings a really unique element of just multiple threats. He's obviously an elite runner with the ball in his hands. He can throw. He can do a lot. I mean, he's pretty elite at everything. Just catching the ball, I think he's a great element for us. And I think it's just another thing for the defense to think about. And I think I have nuances of that to my game as well. Obviously, certainly not as good as him running the ball, but I think that's just what he's really good at. And I think any way we can continue to utilize it, and same with all of our guys, we got to be able to do that.
There have been times where it's just like, oh, he's over here now. Like, it seems like he's just at a different spot on every play.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of personnel groupings for sure that we have between him and Vele and all the guys. So it's they've done a really good job of kind of mastering the game plan each week, and we gotta continue to do that. And but yeah, I mean, when you're coming back on and off, it obviously it's just part of it. So you just come in there whenever I'm in, and we'll get after it. Thanks, appreciate it.